Alright, kindergarten, so now we're going to do our first full painting. We've already done our story painting, and now we're going to actually be working on our first full painting. So this time we're going to work, and we're going to cover the entire surface, so the entire piece of paper, with paint. So your teacher's going to come around, and we're going to pour paint directly onto your paper. But we're not going to pour it all the way down, because right now what we're working on is we're going to be painting our sky. So we're going to pour some blue, and we're going to pour some white. Okay, and then you're going to get these really, really big paintbrushes. See, they're really big. And if they're wet, just dab them off on a paper towel. You remember what that looks like, just dabbing it off on a paper towel. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that paint, and you're just going to start to paint all the way across your painting. And notice, I'm not painting all the way down. It's a little bit more than half the way down. I'm going to stop painting, and I can turn my paintbrush to get a nice line. And I'm going to keep going back and forth. Am I getting paint on my table? Yeah, I am. So do we think that that's okay? Yeah, it's totally fine, because at the end, we're going to wipe it off. Because I'd rather you get paint all the way to the edge of your painting than to just stop and not get all the way to those edges. So I painted all the way to the edge, and I painted a little bit more than halfway down my picture. So now I'm going to take this paintbrush, and I'm going to put it in my water bucket. So to remember our water bucket, this is our water bucket, and when we're not using a paintbrush, we can put our paintbrush right there in the side, because this is the only side that should have water. I'm going to put that back. And now we're going to take a smaller paintbrush. So if we look at the difference between these two, this one's really, really big, and this one's a little bit smaller. And now we can actually go into our paint cups. And we can get paint out of those paint cups. So we have our paint tray, and so here's one of my paint cups, and I'm going to be painting the ground. So this is the sky, and so this is the grass. So I'm going to go into my paint cup, oops, and I'm going to hold it so that it was really slippery, so I have to make sure I hold it really carefully. And I'm going to put my thumb, oops, so I just got paint all over my thumb. Alright, so I cleaned my thumb off. So I'm going to take my paintbrush, I'm going to hold my pointer finger on the top, thumb on the bottom, middle finger wrapped around, and I'm holding on the squishy part. If you get paint up in this metal part, you're not going to be able to use it, so make sure you keep the paint down here on the bristles or the hair of the paintbrush. So I'm just getting a little bit of paint, I'm making sure it doesn't drip off, and then I'm going to start to paint. I'm going to hold my paper where it's not wet, and I'm going to go all the way across my painting. So there's a big glob of paint down there, so I'm going to go all the way across, and I'm going to push the paint. And notice I'm going over my blue line. I'm going to flip my paintbrush around now because there's more paintbrush on the other, or paint on the other side. And I'm going to keep painting. It's okay if I get some of that sky blue. And now I need more paint. So I'm going to take more paint, and I'm going to keep going all the way across. And I'm going to keep doing that until I fill in the whole painting. I'm going to fill in that whole ground section. So right now what I'm doing is I'm filling it in. So I know I'm going to, and then you can even outline it so you tell yourself where you're going to go. So I'm going to outline it, and then I can fill in. I have to get more paint, because there's no point in trying to use it right here. If there's no more paint, you can't use it. You can't suddenly make paint, so you have to go get more from your paint station. Alright, so I'm going back and forth, and I filled in that whole thing. Now don't forget, if you want to get a new color, so if you maybe wanted to add yellow to this, you have to go back to your water bucket, hold your water bucket, and then you have to rub it. Hear that? Rub the metal part of this against the ridges on the bottom. And am I flicking it? Am I going like this? Do you see how I just flicked water everywhere? No, I don't want to do that because then I get water on my painting. So I'm just going to wipe it off on the side. And then I'm going to put that back. And I'm going to get my paper towel. And I'm going to blot it off just a little bit and get some of that water out. And then I can go back into my paint now because my paintbrush is totally clean. And I can start to add some details. So maybe I want to make it look like grass. So I'm going to add some grassy details. And I'm just making little V's right now. I'm kind of smushing my paintbrush and making little V's. Getting more paint, I'm going all the way up to the edge and all the way out to this side with my paintbrush. So I'm pretty much just making a V, smushing down, lifting up, smushing down, lifting up. And I'm going to keep going all the way across until I'm done. So this is what we're going to work on today. What we're going to wind up doing next week is we are going to draw ourselves on here once it is totally dry. So if you have any questions, just let us know. But this is what we're working on.